Let's talk about something truly American. Presidents. More specifically, the political parties they come from. It's like a constant tug of war for the soul of the nation. Who knew politics could be so dramatic? Now you might be thinking, John, why should I care about this political mumbo-jumbo? Well, my friend, the party with the most presidents has profoundly shaped America. From economic policies to social reforms, their influence echoes through history. It's like that one friend who always picks the restaurant, only this time, it's your country on the menu. We're talking Federalists, Democrats, Republicans, the whole shebang. These parties are like rival dance crews, constantly battling it out for the spotlight on the national stage. Think of it like this. Each president gets to lead the dance for 4, maybe 8 years. But the party? They're the choreographers, setting the steps for decades. And the big question is, which party has choreographed the most presidential routines? All right, let's address the elephant in the room, or should I say, the donkey and the elephant. Some of you might be wondering, does it really matter which party has had more presidents? Isn't it all just ancient history? Well, my friends, in the world of politics, history isn't just some dusty old textbook. It's the playbook. You see, the party that's held the presidency the most doesn't just get bragging rights. They get to set the tone, establish norms, and shape the very idea of what it means to be the leader of the free world. It's like inheriting a well-worn recliner. It might not be flashy, but it's comfortable, familiar, and it's got your imprint all over it. Think about it. The president's party influences everything from the judges they appoint to the laws they pass. They steer the ship of state, for better or for worse. And the longer a party's been at the helm, the more their navigational choices become ingrained in the system. Let's be clear, this isn't about saying one party is inherently better than the other. It's about recognizing that each party brings its own baggage, its own priorities, its own vision for America to the table. We're talking about issues that hit close to home for every American. Healthcare, education, the economy, even the goddamn national bird. Okay, maybe not the bird, but you get the point. The party in power gets to decide how these things work, and their choices have lasting consequences. So, yeah, knowing which party has held the Oval Office the most? That's not just trivia, my friends. It's about understanding the forces that have shaped the America we live in today. All right, let's rewind the clock back to the good old days, when America was just a scrappy startup nation figuring things out. Back then, political parties were like those early versions of apps. Buggy, prone to crashing, and constantly arguing about the best way to run the country. Our first major political showdown was between the Federalists, led by Alexander Hamilton, and the Democratic Republicans, championed by Thomas Jefferson. Picture Hamilton as the tech-savvy entrepreneur, pushing for a strong central government and a booming industrial economy. Then there's Jefferson, the farmer philosopher, advocating for states' rights, limited government, and a society rooted in agriculture. It was like watching a heated debate between a city slicker and a country bumpkin, only with higher stakes. Now, fast forward a few decades, and we see the emergence of the Democratic Party, rising from the ashes of the Democratic Republicans. This was the era of Andrew Jackson, the populist president who embodied the spirit of the common man. Jacksonian democracy, as it was called, was all about expanding voting rights, challenging the elite, and making sure the government worked for the little guy. Or at least, that's how they sold it. It was like the political equivalent of a rock concert, loud, energetic, and a little rough around the edges. Over the years, the Democrats would evolve and adapt, grappling with issues like slavery, industrialization, and the growing pains of a nation finding its footing. But one thing remained constant: their appeal to the working class and their belief in the power of government to address social ills. But the Democrats weren't the only game in town. In the mid-19th century, a new party emerged to challenge their dominance, the Whigs. Think of the Whigs as the party of modernization and progress, advocating for infrastructure projects, public education, and economic development. However, the Whigs were deeply divided on the issue of slavery, a moral and political earthquake that would eventually tear the nation and the party apart in the 1850s. It was like trying to build a house on a foundation of shifting sand. Eventually, the whole thing was bound to collapse. The Whigs would eventually fade away, but their legacy would live on in the Republican Party, which rose from the ashes of the anti-slavery movement. Enter Abraham Lincoln, the iconic president who would lead the nation through its darkest hour, the Civil War. Lincoln and the Republican Party fought to preserve the Union, abolish slavery, and forge a new path for a nation scarred by division. The Republicans would go on to become the party of big business, free markets, and a more limited role for government in the lives of individuals. They championed industrial growth, westward expansion, and a vision of America as a land of opportunity for all, or at least those who were willing to work hard and play by the rules. The 20th century would see the Democrats and Republicans engage in an epic tug-of-war for control of the White House, each party shaping the country in their own image. From the New Deal programs of Franklin D. Roosevelt to the conservative revolution of Ronald Reagan, the two parties offered competing visions for America's future. It was a battle of ideas, ideologies, and ultimately, which party could convince the American people that they held the keys to a better tomorrow. Now, with all this historical context in mind, are you ready to find out which party has actually produced the most presidents? All right, folks, the moment you've all been waiting for. Which party reigns supreme in the presidential pageant? Drum roll, please. It's the Republicans. That's right. They are the party of Honest Abe, Teddy Roosevelt. Now, before you Democrats start throwing your miniature donkeys at the screen, let's break down the numbers. The Republican Party has had 19 presidents, starting with Abraham Lincoln in 1861, and including recent presidents like George W. Bush and Donald Trump. The GOP, as they like to be called, rose to prominence in the mid-19th century, riding a wave of anti-slavery sentiment and a commitment to individual liberty. They quickly established themselves as a political force to be reckoned with, even managing to hold on to the presidency for long stretches, especially during the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The Republicans have a knack for tapping into the American zeitgeist, often by appealing to conservative values and promising to shake things up in Washington. Whether you love them or loathe them, you can't deny their impact on the American political landscape. But don't think for a second that this was a cakewalk. American political history is nothing if not a roller coaster of shifting power dynamics. Hold your horses, GOPs. The Democrats may not have the numerical advantage, but they've had some pretty impressive winning streaks of their own. After all, they are the party of Andrew Jackson, FDR, and Obama, and, well, let's just say they have a diverse portfolio. The Democrats have also held the presidency for a significant chunk of American history, producing 17 presidents, starting with Andrew Jackson in 1829. Democrats have left their mark on the Oval Office. Wait, there's more. The third-party wildcards and independent spirits. Now, I know what you're thinking. John, this is America. We're all about choices. What about those independent thinkers and third-party rebels? Well, my friend, you make an excellent point. While the Democrats and Republicans have dominated the presidential playground for most of American history, there have been a few brave souls who dared to challenge the two-party system. We're talking about folks like George Washington, who technically wasn't affiliated with any party when he became our first president. And who could forget Ross Perot, the billionaire businessman who shook things up in the 1990s with his folksy charm and promises to fix the economy. These third-party candidates and independent mavericks rarely win elections, but they often play a crucial role in shaping the national conversation, forcing the major parties to address issues they might otherwise ignore. They're like that friend who always speaks their mind, even when it's a little awkward. They keep things interesting and remind everyone that there's always more than one way to look at things. So, there you have it. The Republicans may have the edge in terms of sheer numbers, but both they and the Democrats have left an indelible mark on the American presidency. It's a testament to the enduring power of the two-party system, even as it faces growing criticism and calls for reform. But beyond the numbers, the parties represent something deeper, a reflection of the ongoing struggle to define what it means to be American. Each party, in its own way, represents a different set of values, priorities, and aspirations for the nation. And the ebb and flow of their power reflects the ever-evolving identity of the United States itself. So the next time you find yourself caught up in the whirlwind of American politics, remember this. It's not just about elephants and donkeys, folks. It's about the ideas, the hopes, and the dreams that have shaped this nation from its very beginnings. And who knows? Maybe one day, a third-party candidate or a true independent will finally break the mold and redefine what it means to be the leader of the free world. Well, for one thing, it's clear that the Republican Party has produced more U.S. presidents, shaping the course of American history in significant ways. From Abraham Lincoln to the modern era, their influence is undeniable. But more importantly, it reminds us that the future of American democracy is not a spectator sport. It requires active participation, informed debate, and a willingness to engage with those who hold different views. Whether you're a die-hard Democrat, a staunch Republican, or somewhere in between, remember this: your voice matters, and the choices you make today will shape the America of tomorrow. So, get informed, get involved, and let's keep this crazy train rolling, shall we? Thanks for watching. Support our channel by hitting the like and subscribe button for more interesting videos.